Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So today in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Odyssey, giving my honest thoughts and opinions, everything. So if you have not seen the movie, go check it out. Or if you have seen the movie, and again, this is a spoiler review. So if you don't want to watch spoilers, you can always exit it out or click another video. But again, yeah, just kind of want to finally talk about some of the spoilers and my thoughts about everything. Let's get into it. All right, so the Odyssey. The Odyssey, directed by Christopher Nolan. This is his 13th movie that he has done, and what can I say? It's just amazing. It's just on a different, huge scale, and every time I come into a Nolan movie, it's just like you gotta put on that, like your brain's about to explode, basically. And I had to see this movie twice because the first time it was just a lot to take in, and I didn't really enjoy it the first time because there was some like ladies talking to me, and they just kept whispering things. They were just like, "Is this movie like 2 hours? How long is this? Is it almost done?" I'm just...
Hey, you wait like everybody else, pal. You wait like everybody else, pal.
I was getting upset because they're just, he's not even that good looking, Matt Damon. I'm just like, almost started turning into, you think you know the rule. Anyway, so, but yeah, so like the first time it was just like a lot just happened, and I already forgot what happened, so I saw it a second time, and so honestly now I can feel like I have my opinions and thoughts and everything I wanted to talk about and bring to the table and talk about what was in the book and what was not in the book. But yeah, let's get into it. First off, again, this movie starring Matt Damon as Odysseus is amazing. I haven't seen him in this kind of role probably since, like the Bourne Identity movies or even The Departed, maybe even The Martian, I would say, and like Interstellar, but I haven't seen him on this scale just when it's just him again, and like it's been a while, it's been a minute. So amazing acting throughout this whole entire movie. He really does give you a full experience of this character Odysseus. What I like about this movie, it's implying that the whole moral of Odysseus and the whole moral of the story is that it's about honor, it's about loyalty, it's about respect, it's about temptation, and it's about your pride. I would say that's the word I was looking for. And so like the whole entire movie, Odysseus is trying to do the right thing, and also trying to obey the gods in a way. And that was something I would have liked to see if they did show Olympus, just like flashes of it real quick, if they did just imply, but obviously Nolan didn't, he didn't want to show actually like the gods. The thunder and the rain was implied already, like that's the gods striking back if you don't listen, if you don't obey, and don't, give in to the temptation. And that's the premise of this story, basically. So again, yeah, they're just little minor things that I kind of wish that he had showed, maybe just a flashback of Olympus, but again, just little minor things. All right, real quick, just cutting straight to the Cyclops scene. Amazing practical effects. I did not know that the whole Cyclops was basically a big giant puppeteer, and I didn't, I didn't even know. I had to do the research because you wouldn't think that it's all puppeteer in some way, but there were some shots that it is puppeteer, and then obviously, but like there are parts where he's eating the soldiers. Obviously, that's digitized, but again, it's practical in its weird way. In its whole form, it really is it is a practical effect. But them taking out the most important line in that sequence from the book, which is,
he's a nobody.
Ever read the Odyssey? After Odysseus was caught by the Cyclops, he told it his name was Nobody. So when he poked its eye out and its friends asked who did it, all the Cyclops could say was nobody.
Point taken.
Thanks, Batman, for clearing that up. Oh, speaking of Batman, sorry, I don't mean to change the subject, but today is the 18th anniversary of The Dark Knight, which released in July 18th in 2008 of today. So 18 years ago, The Dark Knight was released. So anywho, I would have liked to see that statement, that comment of him saying, "I'm nobody," and he's yelling across the boat, the Cyclops, and I kind of would have liked to see that end on that statement, on that note, you know. But again, it was great pacing throughout the beginning into that scene, and throughout the whole movie. The pacing was nailed perfect, and I think nobody else could have done it besides Nolan in that case. And I think he even had offers to even direct Troy, the 2004, the one with Brad Pitt and Eric Bana, and there were already talks that he was supposed to direct that movie, but the studios back then told him no, and they told him, we have other projects, which was Batman Begins. Anyway, and so yeah, he always had the Odyssey in the back of his mind. He said that was something that he basically wanted to do, to kind of showcase, like he could have done even Troy, I think, in my opinion. So as far as like some of those little tiny choices of making Christopher Nolan's adaptation, making it his version, and there's just minor little things, and for instance, like the suitors, one of the suitors played by Robert Pattinson, no complaints. His acting was amazing. I just liked the way he would smile a lot and be kind of like, well, she's not gonna get it, and he would kind of like smile a lot and like make it very like creepy. Like he was just like a little guy in the back sometimes too. He would just kind of like observe and be like, get them, like the spears. So his acting was amazing. And then obviously Tom Holland, really, really good. I really did enjoy his performance, because it's nice to see him when he's, again, not picturing Peter Parker or Spider-Man, which we're going to see him in a week anyway. So I really did like his accent as Telemachus, and it didn't bother me. There are two things that bothered me with this movie, and two minor things. They're not like big things that destroy the movie, but they're just two minor things I think could have been tweaked, maybe a little bit more in depth in certain things. So the first one I have to bring up is the accents, and yeah, like obviously this is a big controversy subject that people are saying, no, that is the way they talked, and it's just certain phrases and certain words, especially when they would start to cuss, be like shit, piss. Like John Berthol's character, there was a scene where he's like talking and he's like, yeah, it smells like piss and shit. Like it just sounded too like he's from New York-ish, it sounded like the Punisher was talking, and I was just waiting for him to be like, tell you what, Red. Not even Red. Tell you what, Demolik. I can't speak it. Sorry. But you know what I mean? Like, there are moments where he does, like, it just doesn't sound right. And especially when the suitors were cussing, it didn't, like, they'd be like, fuck off, beggar. Like, it just didn't sound correct in that time period. Even though I know it's, again, people did talk like that in some cases, but there was one specific character, I think it was Odysseus's right-hand man, his second commander, the guy with the beard, who was also in Tenet. His English just sounded like too perfect, like not even slightly with an accent, you know what I mean? So I don't know, it just kind of threw me off. Like it almost sounded like, yeah, like he just graduated from Harvard or something, like speaking perfect English. I don't know, it's just, again, they're minor little things. The second big minor thing that I will say that I docked 2 points off for this film is the score. Knowing that because this is Ludwig Göransson, I hope I say that right. He did Tenet, which I loved a lot, and then he did Oppenheimer, which I was like, oh, they're going to win best score for sure for Oppenheimer, and yeah, sure enough, they did. But this one didn't. There are moments in this movie where I was like, I don't know, it doesn't sound like a score. It just sounded like noise. Like, I'm not even kidding. There's one sequence where Odysseus goes to the land of the dead, basically, to see all the warriors that passed away. And so he goes, and like there's a sequence where you're listening, and it just sounds like it didn't sound like to me, I think it didn't sound like the most in-depth musical kind of score. But I did see online that Nolan did say that this wasn't an orchestral kind of score that he was going for.
Take the orchestra off the table. Let's look to the ancient instruments and see what we can do with an aulos, do with a lyre. I'm thinking about the tone of how I'm going to make the whole film. And I want this to be earthy and immediate and accessible. So we're not going to have the actors do what they did in kind of 50s and 60s Hollywood and have sort of mid-Atlantic accents or British accents or whatever that is. You know, we're not going to look to the kind of romantic tradition in art visually. And so for the music, it's like, well, what does that mean for the music? Because we shouldn't really, therefore, in my opinion, be taking a kind of romantic era orchestra and orchestration and relying on that. And that is the underpinnings for a lot of movie scores, for a lot of my movie scores, frankly. And Ludwig is the kind of guy, I mean, he's a brilliant composer, he's also a brilliant producer. He has an incredible ear for sound and instrumentation and everything. And so I think he got excited about that right away. Basically saying,
and even Nolan has said this before in interviews where he said that music is not the main ingredient. I just think in the back of my mind, like, I really liked Oppenheimer's score and then Tenet's score, but I feel like Ludwig in this one didn't really. There was some moments in there where it sounds like The Mandalorian because you can hear the doo-dee 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 doo, you know. But again, I'm just being nitpicky on that one. I think they could have explored more with some melodies throughout. I think that would have been interesting to see. The whole premise of this story, what I like is that, you know, Matt Damon's character Odysseus is, you know, it's starting from the Trojan War, you know, when they're coming out of the horse, and that reminded me of Dunkirk right there. That sequence of all the troops in the horse, and they're coming out and they're attacking basically the whole entire place, and they basically take it down overnight, starting with that Trojan War, the fall of Troy. And then it's the 10 years later of his journey as he's trying to get home. But again, he was on that island with Calypso for like 7 or 8 years. And then, he's still trying to get home. And when he finally meets his son, Telemachus, there's one specific scene where, like, it's towards the end, and he finally knows that it's his dad based off the dog that reacted to Odysseus, and only the dog would only answer to his master, which is Odysseus. And the fact that there was that interaction between son and father, and like they already know, like he knows that was his dad this entire time, disguising himself as a beggar. It's just, God, it's so epic. And especially the last sequence, the last 20, 30 minutes, it really turned into a different film. I was like, damn, he's taking out everybody. But that part was, it's funny because it reminded me of a Tarantino part, because it was like in an enclosed environment, because they go back to his hometown after 20 years later. It's just an amazing conclusion, because he has to go back to the suitors and protect his family, defend his honor, defend his family's honor, everything. And it's just crazy. But as of right now, I would give it like an 8 out of 10. I would say it's definitely, I would think, maybe in my top 5 Christopher Nolan films. I would definitely need to do another video of my top 10 Christopher Nolan films. It's kind of making me think now, like, all his filmography of everything that he's done. But on this scale, I really think, because of how long the movie was, 3 hours. And it's just minor things that he didn't add from the book. Obviously, they're little tiny things. And that last sequence, like I said, when he goes back to the suitors, goes back to his hometown, and he pulls the bow, and he pulls it, and you just see him. He goes through all 12 axes, and he takes out the whole entire damn. I had no words right there. I was just like, this is ridiculous. This is insane. But hands down, again, all the actors, and great performances. I really think maybe Matt Damon probably might get nominated. The movie for sure is going to get nominated for probably cinematography. I mean, maybe score, but again, I don't know. It was more minimalistic. It was kind of like, it kind of backed off a little bit. But it reminded me a lot of Clash of the Titans, Ben-Hur, Hercules, and Gladiator. And you can just see all those parallel universe of Greek mythology really does have its own, again, it is its own universe. But again, these stories are, they're so old, and they just feel really amazing. I think that's why Nolan did so well, because this movie felt like very realistic and felt very grounded still, even with the practical effects. And the only scene that I will say that was kind of crazy was that pig sequence where the men transform into the pigs with the witch. That's where I was like, what the hell am I watching? That to me it wasn't the Cyclops scene that was like scary to me. I thought it was more of the transformation sequence with the pigs and all that. I felt like that's where I was like, dang, Nolan, I haven't seen a sequence like this in his films. So I felt like that he could explore that kind of intensity and maybe in another film, and kind of wish that Nolan was directing. I know it's a different type of film, but I kind of want to see him go back to like that grounded kind of like crime, just like Memento and like even The Following, kind of in some ways, like, because again, even in like The Dark Knight, and I feel like he should be the one directing Heat 2 right now. I know it's Michael Mann, but I really think that if he was directing this Heat 2, I don't know, I think it would be on another level. And again, that's how all his movies are. They're just on another level. What an amazing experience seeing it in IMAX in the theater, and the sound and the how loud it was and everything, and the locations, the cinematography, just it looked so beautiful. And these type of movies are the reason you get your ass back in the theater. I'm just saying, this is the kind of movie that makes you want to keep going to a theater and experiencing this kind of movie on this grand scale. So amazing movie. So yeah, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, but it's definitely, I definitely put this higher than Oppenheimer, probably even higher than, maybe even Inception. I don't know. I do like Greek mythology movies, so as of right now, I would say it's higher than Inception and higher than Oppenheimer and maybe even Dunkirk. Probably. Sorry. But I'll have to do that in another video, my top 10 Christopher Nolan films. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hope you, like I said, enjoyed all the differences talking about the book and this and that. And so, yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one, and let me know what you guys thought of the movie. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.